Since I returned to the studios a few weeks ago, I've been trying to carry my camera with me when I leave college. Having it on me has changed the way that I look when I'm walking, and I've started to notice spaces that feel like they could be small stages for objects to be activated within, or sequences of objects that feel like sections from set design. During the summer, I visited a church in Norfolk that had this checkered floor in the chancel. I remember liking that the floor was contained on the left and the right by the choir stalls, and the step to the altar at the front and the step down to the nave behind. It felt like a stage to me, and this image has stayed with me since. Apparently, checkerboard motifs appear on Egyptian pottery shards and tomb walls from around 3000 BCE, which is around the time of the emergence of organised writing and language. It's been recognised that the most likely source of the checker is the imagery created through plaiting and weaving. So the simplest weave is called the checker weave, which consists of crossing threads under and over in a 1x1 structure, which creates a grid. I like the thought that these gestures, done over and over by people everywhere, led to the creation of a physical architectural form, and it reminds me of this quote by Caycedo from the book Let's Become Fungal, about embodied knowledge. In the geography of a river, you have the everyday gestures of the throwing of the net, the casting of the net, the crossing of the river, the paddling, the weaving of the net, the carving of the paddle, and the building of the tools. This is what I call the geo-choreographies. An embodied knowledge, something that you have inherited for generations, which has been sophisticated throughout the generations and through the act of doing it every day. It's a choreography because you repeat it. When you cast a net, you don't throw it in the river just once. You cast it 200 times, and each individual has their nuances, depending on who taught you. There are so many ways of doing things, even for weaving the net. It's accumulated knowledge because it passes through generations. It has to do with muscle memory, that's why it's a choreography. In both weaving and fishing, these embodied, repeated actions create something bigger and more permanent than the individual gesture. The book explores the idea that everyday gestures can be given agency through language, for example, by giving them a name. Caycedo names the collective river gestures geo-choreographies. I love the idea that actions or ideas are given some other form through which to exist. I'm looking out for vessels or puppets that might hold things like this, and as I mentioned in my last video, I think this is why I've been enjoying making these building blocks as containers. Today I watched a video of Alexander Calder performing his Circus, and I'll leave a link to the video in the description. As well as the sculptures being beautifully made, I like that there's no pretense that Calder is the one activating them. They're designed to be used, not just observed, and I like that, in this video at least, it feels not so much like a performance, but more like he's just getting ready to play with them and see what might happen. My mum sent me a photo of Edmund de Waal's list of unused titles, which is in an archive, and what really excites me about this list is the potential for each title to go off in different directions, but also what happens when they're all brought together like this, like objects sat on a shelf, each one ready to be picked up or placed next to a different one. They don't feel that different to Calder's circus toys. I think this is what I'd like to move towards. A collection of elements that can be unpacked and arranged and activated, like paper theatres that unfold, or puppets waiting for hands.